The superannuation industry is undergoing a radical shake-up in Australia off the back of the Royal Commission into the banking industry. Yet women are still falling behind. With 40% of women out of the workforce, often in non-paid caring roles, they wind up with 42% less super than men. One company is disrupting the industry, revolutionising the way women earn super by converting retail spending to super, helping to close the gaping gender gap. CEO and co-founder of Super Rewards, Pascale Helyar-Moray, joins me now to discuss more. It sounds just too good to be true, I have to say. We'll hear a bit more about it as we go along. I wanted to ask you, though, first up, the super industry, it's just not designed for women. It's a men's game, isn't it?
Superannuation is a fantastic concept, and for the most part it's been executed brilliantly. It has helped contribute to Australia's wealth, and it has really put Australia on the global stage from a financial perspective. Now, superannuation works if you earn like a man and you work full-time for the entire length of your career. However, nothing I've just said is true of most women. So if we think about the 6.7 million women in Australia aged 18 to 64, only 24% of that segment work full-time. And there's 40% of women, as you mentioned, Jacinta, who are simply not in the workforce because they're raising children or they're looking after elderly relatives or sick, or the community or what have you. So it's an impossible situation to be able to top up your super or make super contributions when you're not earning an income.
How big is the disparity, the gender gap?
Yes, so as you mentioned, women retire with 42% less or 50% as much superannuation as men. Stats are great, but what does that actually mean? Well, on current trends, women retire with only enough for 6 years of retirement. And here is the problem, because women live, on average, for another 14 years after that. Now, if women had as much super as men, there would be another $268 billion in the superannuation pool.
So we've seen this shake-up of the super industry. It needed to happen. Still, though, women have fallen through the cracks. So Super Rewards is, you're jumping into that and filling that gap. You're really shaking up the industry and giving women a chance to top up their super when they're not working. Can you explain how it works?
Yes, exactly right. So Super Rewards is effectively our bid to monetise the $2.2 trillion of unpaid work done each year by Australian women. So Super Rewards is super easy. You come to the shopping platform, register your details. Super Rewards is free to join, there are no charges, and it's compatible with any super fund or any self-managed super fund as well. So you simply do your shopping from 120 retailers online through our portal, and each of those brands will give you a cash top-up into your superannuation.
And you don't have to be working, that's the extraordinary
thing. And you don't have to be
working for money, we should point out.
Correct. You don't have to be in paid employment, that's exactly right.
So you have to spend to get the super, of course. How can women make money with this model?
Well, the thing is, the women are shopping online anyway. So all that we're asking them to do is come to Super Rewards first. So it's very, if we think about how much you could accrue in any month, let's say we think about a 40-year-old woman who has, let's say, the average super balance of $50,000 in her super account. If she's able to generate $30 of Super Rewards each month, which is entirely possible through shopping every week at Woolies, and maybe she books the family holiday with P&O Cruises through us, and she buys some clothes for the children and herself through the Iconic, it's very easy through $30 per month, compounded monthly over 25 years, to reach a super balance of $250,000.
Well, when you put it that way, we've been running, as we're talking, some of the retailers, and you mentioned there's 120 of them. They're all jumping on board. What's in it for them?
Well, firstly, I'd like to say a big shout out and a big thank you to the retailers, because they have jumped onto our concept and onto our platform in a way that we couldn't have imagined. So, the retailers understand that women make 79% of household spending decisions, and that it's women who really keep the cash registers ringing for them. So they're able now, with participation in Super Rewards, to say, women, we support you today, tomorrow, and into retirement. Now, increasingly brands today are finding that they need to have something more. They need to have a message of authenticity and have something extra to deliver to their customers. So Super Rewards is a great way for them to do that. From an economic perspective, they see super awards as a means of distribution. It's an incremental channel to drive sales.
We should point out that men can use super rewards
Absolutely. Super awards is designed for women because it's women who are, behind financially and economically. But we understand there are many segments of the community who could also benefit from super awards, and so we're open to any gender.
You're helping women, as you say, mainly women, use super the way it was intended. That seems to have been lost in the scheme of this model of where many women are still,
yes,
as you say, working in unpaid work.
Yes, exactly. And, we're at this real tipping point. In my spare time, I'm the Director of Communications for the Australian Gender Equality Council, so I'm exposed to a lot of data and research around the state of gender equality in Australia. And it frightens me that 40% of single women retire below the poverty line. So, what does 40% of single women look like? It translates to one in every 6 women retires into poverty.
And we know that homelessness amongst women is the highest
Exactly.
growing group as well.
That's exactly right. So, when we typically think of homeless people, we think of the elderly gentleman perhaps with some, mental health issues. Actually, the fastest growing segment, as you've highlighted, is the 55-year-old woman who has no super because she's fallen between the cracks of a system that wasn't designed for women.
So you're really disrupting the industry. Do you expect to see the whole industry shifting around this model?
We certainly hope so. We've seen a lot of change following the Royal Commission, of course, but all those changes and all that legislation that has been introduced actually doesn't address the core of the fact that the system as it was designed was not designed for women. So this is our bid to monetise all that unpaid work and help women create an income stream through regular cash contributions just by doing what they do anyway into their super.